Velvet Voice Walker Stewart, accompanied by none other than Diamond Jim, James Southern. James, we are starting off tonight's event, HOT, Hot Pro Wrestling, coming to you live from Axtell, Texas for WrestleBowl 2 with the hardest working Dan in show business.
And what I want to know is why all these idiots in Axtell aren't cheering for Dan the Man, the hardest working Dan in show business, the most entertaining Dan in show business. There's no damn doubt about it. He is the man.
Well, nevertheless, we're going to have a great night of action here on our VIP matchup exclusively on the Hot Pro Wrestling Network. James, this is going to be an incredibly exciting matchup as Dan the Man faces off against one of the hottest rising stars in Texas today.
Jason Silver, the man, has been around Texas for a while. He's been around the heart of Texas for a while, but he is back and looking to make his name once again at the expense of Dan the Man.
Hot Pro Wrestling's own Jason Silver, the immortal Jason Silver. A lot of fanfare for this young man here tonight. We're going to see exactly how he goes one-on-one, goes to battle against Dan the Man, an individual who, if I'm being quite frank with you, James, the audience is not exactly taking a liking to here in Axtell, Texas.
And I don't know why. He's hardworking, he's entertaining, he's everything you'd want from someone in show business or professional wrestling. But Jason Silver looks to prove that he is not immortal tonight. Let's hear the Dan.
Folks, it's HOT Anarchy, it's hot, hot, hot. Who's excited to see Dan? Woo! I'll take it. Folks, you are the VIP. You pay extra money to see me, and I think that's hilarious. But because I take pity on each and every one of you people, I will gift you not only with a wrestling match, but also the glory, the honor of listening to me speak. We're living in special times, folks. Special times. No, he doesn't. Dan is great. Dan Ross. We love Dan, don't we, folks?
Are you looking in the mirror? You look like a girl in water skiing.
We don't love Jason Silver. Jason, you made the deadliest mistake you could possibly make in this business.
Beating you?
You botched the joke. My name is Dan the Man. Danarchy follows me everywhere I go. I am the Dan with the plan. Get it? You're going to pay for this, my friend.
Dan sucks!
Referee, you trying to beat me right now? Look at this. Everybody loves Dan, don't they? Everyone wants to be Dan. Even the referee changed his head. You! Take my microphone.
Yes!
I want a nice clean match, Jason. I know how you get.
From the baby.
Well, James, I got to tell you, strong words there from Dan the Man here as we get started with our VIP matchup. Dan the Man takes on the immortal Jason Silver.
He talks tough because he's a confident Dan. Oh, the people weren't sleeping, Silver. They were just listening to the most entertaining Dan in show business.
Definitely one of the Dans in show business. Dan the Man is here, and like I said earlier on, James, the Axtell, Texas faithful not exactly adorned with Dan the Man here tonight.
How many other Dans in show business could you name?
You know what?
Dan Aykroyd.
He doesn't count.
There's probably a couple other Dans, but nevertheless, Jason Silver and Dan the Man are going to war here tonight in this matchup. And like I said earlier, that fanfare that we spoke on earlier as Dan the Man attacking Jason Silver from behind. Quite cowardice here from Dan the Man.
Because Jason Silver was stupid enough to turn his back on his opponent.
People need to settle down, okay? What?
You're so weak.
I'm not weak.
You're weak.
I'm not weak. Hey, you've been eyeballing me this entire time, okay? I need you to behave yourself.
Jason Silver, he's got Dan the Man by the back of the head and a chop right across the chest.
He knocks his glasses off. This is blasphemy, Stewart.
Definitely a precarious position here for Dan the Man. Jason Silver, beautiful sidewalk slam to cover. Oh, it's only going to take more than that if you want to put Dan the Man down here, James. Now Jason Silver out of the corner, big elbow strike. And this Axtell, Texas crowd is going crazy here for Dan the Man. But I got to ask you here, James, Dan the Man, he claims to be the hardest working Dan in show business. But is he the hardest working Dan in the squared circle? What is this man's training regimen like?
You're about to see his training regimen. Look at it. He's going for a warm-up lap. It's beautiful. He's running like an Olympic sprinter. Do you think Usain Bolt has anything on Dan the Man? He's on half speed.
Oh, elbow strike reverse there. Jason Silver trying to outwit Dan the Man here in this contest.
Really?
Yeah,
You know what?
he's running.
You know what? Ref, please. I know what these people want to see.
Not you.
Dan the Man asking for a little bit of separation here with our official and Jason Silver.
I know, that's what he does.
Do we have some super glue to shut him up?
Yes. Really?
Dan the Man just trying to give the people what they want to see, a little bit of sportsmanship.
I have to admit with you, James, it's definitely not a piece of advice I would have taken out of Dan the Man's playbook. I mean, I wouldn't have expected it to be there. Nevertheless, Jason Silver, he talked about super glue. It looks like that hand of Dan the Man is stuck to Jason Silver's, and now the boots being put to the immortal one.
Jason Silver held on to that hand a little too long, and he's paying the cost by eating the buckle and then the knees of Dan the Man.
Lifting him up, look at the strength here, planting Jason Silver directly to the mat, the cover, 1 foot. Jason Silver, he's not going to take that disrespect lightly here.
Getting a full-on technical display. He's going to have to display some wrestling prowess of his own if he wants to show anything to that quote-unquote disrespect from Dan the Man.
Well, I have to ask you here, James. Jason Silver, he's in a precarious position, but it looks like he's battling back to his feet. Wait a minute. Dan the Man, no, taking it back down with that side headlock. Into the pinning combination, only a 1 count. James, I have to ask you, what's it going to take for Jason Silver to find his way back to a vertical base?
Jason Silver is going to have to use his speed to slip around Dan the Man. The Man is all over him right now. A little bit of separation and using that speed, and Jason Silver might be back into this contest.
Dan the Man, he's looking incredibly confident at this juncture. A strike there from Jason Silver. That's the separation that I think he needed there, James. Repeatedly now going to the ropes, hair pull, mat slam, and Dan the Man once again in the position that he looked to spend the rest of this contest in.
Sometimes you take a second to catch your breath, and that's all your opponent needs, especially in Jason Silver's position where he has been fighting from the lower ground in most of this contest, excuse me.
And of course, Jason Silver, these kicks to the back, I mean, you're starting to see the frustration build within the immortal Jason Silver. You have to wonder how that's going to play into the long term of this matchup. Dan the Man, he's in there, and as he likes to say, he's just trying to have a little bit of fun. He's just trying to enjoy himself while walking out with the victory. You have to know that's getting inside the mental game of Jason.
You can use that frustration one of 2 ways, Walker. You can use it to your benefit, channel it, and allow it to better your skills, or allow it to overwhelm you, and it can cost you the match. That's exactly what Dan the Man is hoping for. He hopes he can play the cool game just a little bit longer than his opponents and catch them at the slightest mistake.
That mistake, will it come anytime soon for Dan the Man? Jason Silver, no. Once again, back into that rear chin lock. Our official trying to make sure that Jason Silver's still in this, which he is. Snapmare through, taking out Dan the Man. Massive penalty kick to the back of Dan there, James.
It might be good in soccer, but so far it hasn't scored him the win.
Big short arm clothesline from Dan the Man. Jason Silver, he's down right now, James. And in the position which Dan the Man is in, it's one that he predicted. It's something that he said was going to happen. And now, seems like we're seeing his words come to fruition here.
Dan the Man is the kind of guy who likes to call his shot, and that's what we saw, and now it's getting ready to take place.
Yes.
The hand wrapped around the throat for Dan the Man. What's gonna happen here? Up and down into the wheelbarrow with the victory roll. Only a 2 count there, says our official. Jason Silver, the snapmare to Dan the Man. He's got him down, kick to the back once again. Anything you can do, I can do better.
Sticking with what works here. Let's see if Silver can keep this momentum going.
Silver now to the middle rope and catching our referee with that springboard crossbody off the middle rope. But Dan the Man most definitely put our official in harm's way there, James.
Well, that's all right. You saw Jason Silver. He was distracted. He thought he was going for Dan the Man. He hit our official. The official, he wants to be Dan the Man. He's got the blonde hair. You can't blame Jason Silver for such an innocent mistake as mistaking our official and Dan the Man.
Dan the Man, nevertheless, is in a bad position here because he was going for that cover. Wait a minute, that's Jeff Gant, the Hot Wrestling Anarchy champion, taking out Dan the Man in the middle of the squared circle. I didn't even know Jeff Gant was in the building tonight, James. Jason Silver, he's going to that middle rope to the top. The tornado into the splash. 1, 2, 3, and that's it. Fantastic victory on the evening for Jason Silver, but James, I have to admit, you have to know Jason Silver wanted to get that job done on his own. But Jeff Gant, wait a minute, he's in the middle of the ring. He's got Dan the Man, package pile driver.
We need to get an ambulance. He's hurt. They could have just, Jeff Gant could have just broken Dan the Man's neck. What a ruthless man, and stole his sunglasses. This is a travesty, Walker.
Well, James, a hard Dan's work for tonight. Dan the Man eating the loss. He's gonna have to go back to the drawing board on that one. Nevertheless, a phenomenal victory for Jason Silver.
This is where